Today I'm at Washtenaw Community College, and we're here for, what are we here for, John?
We're here for DFNet in Ann Arbor, spring 2010.
And who are you? What's your name?
I'm Jason Follas.
And you are?
John Hopkins.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Thanks for being on the show. John, you've never been on my show before? And
Not.
Jason, you were on like episode 3, I think. Something like
I
that.
think so.
So you guys are the prime drivers behind dayof.net. Describe what is a dayof.net.
Well, a dayof.net is a one-day conference on all things of .NET, and it expands beyond .NET too, so it's not just strictly Microsoft technologies. There's nothing in the laws that say you have to do Microsoft technologies. But it's a one-day conference on all things .NET, organized by developers for developers. So we're developers by trade, we're user group leaders. We just want to extend the same experience that we have every month at our user group out to a larger audience who might not even know what a user group is.
Okay, so it's an extension of the user group, and you guys are both user group leaders. John and I are part of the Great Lakes area .NET user group, and are you the president of the?
I'm the leader. It's not an elected position, so.
I'll just say benign dictator for life.
Yeah, of the group in Toledo, Ohio, the Northwest Ohio .NET user group.
And so what distinguishes this conference from other conferences? Like, for example, there's the famous ones, PVC, TechEd.
We started out doing dayof.net as a free conference. This is the first time that we're actually charging. We're charging a very, very small fee. Something like PDC, you're going to spend upwards of, with travel and hotel and everything, you're probably looking at $35,000. It's a huge investment. Plus, it's having to go away to another city for 3 to 5 days, be away from work. dayof.net is always held on a Saturday. It's local community. It's speakers from the community. So it's probably people that people that you've seen at other user groups. Maybe you've worked with some of the speakers. So it's really community oriented and driven, as opposed to a big national conference like PDC or TechEd.
Okay. Yeah, there's always a community feel. You got. I just checked. I think there were about 187 people so far.
Something like that.
We're still pretty early in the day, so they may reach 200. And at $10 versus $5,000. 10 is less than 5,000. I know that.
Yeah. Right.
And so that's a big appeal.
Yeah.
So what are some of the topics that we covered here?
Oh gosh, anything from Silverlight to Windows Phone 7 development. We have a few basic sections too, because not everybody that comes is a experienced developer. So there's just the whole range. There's 25 sessions I think that we have going on.
We have 25 scheduled.
Yeah. So 5 separate tracks and 5 time slots. So it's a lot of content for a community.
Yeah, I saw a couple of rooms too that are just overflowing with people.
I saw that too. So, that's in a venue like this. The venue that we're at has one big conference room, one big auditorium, and then like 4 separate smaller rooms. So it's always hard to gauge where the audience wants to go. So I feel bad for the guy who has standing room only, but then again, his topic's so popular that he has standing room only.
There are 2 rooms with standing room only right now.
So the auditorium's probably empty right now.
I didn't go to the auditorium. That's across the street, so we're going over there at lunchtime. Tell me, what are some of the things that go into planning a conference like this?
The first thing is deciding to do the conference. So that's usually the hard part, right? The go, no go.
Yeah.
And then after that...
Is that really for this one? This is the 5th Ann Arbor dayof.net. It's been going on for about 5 years now.
It is, but
it seems like it's a no-brainer. Like this decision was made a long time ago.
We didn't do one last year because of the economy. We were having some issues with just getting sponsors too. This is a sponsored event as well.
That's why the cost.
We get funds, right? Correct. We get funds from corporate sponsors, and we were having some trouble at the user group level last year getting sponsorships, and so we figured, well, that's probably going to cause us some issues about getting sponsorships for dayof.net. So we made the call pretty early on last year that we just were going to skip it.
So we didn't want to overtax the sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the only event. There's hundreds of events like this, and the sponsors are just being asked to help out. So we wanted to give a little break to the sponsors last year.
Okay. So what else? You got the go no go, which apparently is more than I thought it was. And then
after that,
What-
you have to secure the venue. So you have to find a venue that will meet your needs. If you have to pay for it, it has to be within your budget.
And is available for the date.
And is available. So you usually figure out kind of what's the availability of your audience and what's the availability of the venue, and try to mash those together to find the perfect date that works for the majority of people.
We also have to look outside of our own community. Are there other national conferences going on that might interfere? And there's also some things that are non-technical, not technological.
The president might be in town today.
We have President Obama in town for the U of M commencement today. We didn't know that going in, and I don't think it's caused any issues. We've seen some helicopters flying overhead, but I don't think we're having any like traffic issues yet.
Yeah.
But we certainly have to consider that there's other things going on. I know when we were doing events in the fall, because we're in Ann Arbor, we had to kind of coordinate around UM football games that usually brings Ann Arbor to a standstill.
Well, I used to when they had a football team. Do they still have one?
I don't know.
I live in Ohio. I don't know. So
Facilities.
the other side of that coin, when you're selecting a venue and something to be aware of, is that a lot of venues won't let you bring in your own food. They expect you to use their on-site catering, which really jacks up the cost of the event. So we're very fortunate that this particular venue, while they have catering available on-site, and we use them for like coffee and juice and whatnot, they don't require us to use their catering for lunches. So it brings down the cost tremendously by being able to provide our own food.
So beyond picking a date and securing the venue, then we have to put out a call for speakers, because the conference would be nothing without the volunteering.
You got a great lineup of speakers. But I'm not just saying
Thank
that
you.
because I'm one of them. What is that hard? Is that what kind of response do you get?
Well, we're all part of the community, so it's more akin to talking to our friends. Hey, put in a abstract for Day.net. We have a mailing list, obviously, of I would say probably upwards of 100 software developers in the community that actually do presentations. So we send it an email blast, we tweet about it, we talk to our friends. So that's probably one of the easier parts of
Yeah, it seems like every year, I spoke at the very first day of .NET, and there were a lot of people that I didn't know back then. So that was sort of my entry into the community.
Yeah.
And it seems like every year there are more people that dedicate time to speak. They just become labeled as speakers.
Yeah, and we're actually getting people that are not even from the Ann Arbor community. We have at least 2 speakers that came up from
three, 4 hours away.
Oh, way more than 2, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just Ann Arbor. Our community actually extends much further than just Ann Arbor.
So
beyond that, we have to deal with trying to wrangle sponsors. We've got what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Dozen or so sponsors. Some of them have contributed actual cash, which is great because then that allows us to go out and buy snacks and pop and things like that. But then others have just donated software licenses and whatnot to give away. That's probably the hardest part, just because it's kind of a charity thing. The sponsors aren't getting they don't get a whole lot. I mean, they get some exposure within the community, but they don't really get a whole lot.
Indirect.
Yeah, they don't really get a lot of immediately tangible ROI.
Right.
We have some opportunities for vendors to actually come on site and interact with our roughly 200 people that show up. We get usually it's a recruiting firm that wants to come and mix and mingle and talk to possible job candidates.
Right.
But we are immensely thankful for the sponsors that to give us money and items to give away.
So once you know how much money you have to work with, or rather, you kind of have an idea in your head of what you want to offer at the conference. Whether it's T-shirts or some other giveaway, or whether you want to provide pop or an afternoon snack or something like that. So you build this list of priority list of things that you want to offer at the conference. Then as sponsorship dollars come in, you start being able to offer the higher priority things. So after a while, you know what you have the budget for and what you don't. And then it's just a matter of working towards the event date making sure that all the loose ends are tied up, and usually by that time you have enough momentum that even if the organizers step back and the speakers show up, the event just takes care of itself.
All right, so I think the number one priority is going to be the facility, the place.
Right.
At least that's the number one thing that costs money. And
Usually,
then,
yep.
and then after that, maybe whether or not you got to decide whether you got food there or not.
Yeah.
And maybe down at the bottom is, do we want to
Right.
throw a party afterwards?
Right. Or do T-shirts or
Give away T-shirts to every attendee, that sort of thing. So if we have the funds for that, we'll get that. And we just sort of have this hierarchy of needs that get met as more funds come in.
Yep, but that's essentially what's involved in
Yeah,
planning
and
an
we're,
event.
it's usually about a 2 to 3 month process to get all the balls rolling. But once we get to today we have people that step up and volunteer to help us move tables around and whatnot. The day of the event, really after that first session starts, it's on autopilot. It just kind of runs itself.
Is that right? I was going to ask you that.
People know
what time did you guys get here?
I got here about 7.
It was about 7:20.
And have you had a chance to enjoy the conference then? Did you?
I sat through 5 minutes of a presentation.
Okay. Do you have a sense for? Have you had time to get a sense for how people are enjoying it?
People are twittering,
Uh-huh.
so that's kind of I jump on Twitter every now and then and see what the feedback
I
is.
haven't seen that. What's the?
So far, the
what's so
feedback's people are sitting in exceptional
Did anyone
sessions.
mention my presentation?
Yes, they did. In
Really?
fact, yes. So go research Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
See what people said about it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you on my show. I really appreciate the conference.
No problem.
Great time.
Thanks.
So yeah, I mean, we have a great list of friends that we utilize, and it's funny that technology brings us all together.
Yeah.